Hello everyone, welcome to the video tutorial series of the web development. I am your instructor Varsha Tak. Let's start our lecture series. Okay, so topics to be covered in this lecture, that is features of HTTP. Then we will see the limitations of HTTP. Then we will see what is the difference between GET and POST. These are the different method that is used to request something on the web server. So what is the difference between these two? Because these two methods are most commonly used method. So we will see the difference between GET and POST. And then we will see the different web browsers that is available. And last we will see the web browser architecture. So let's start our lecture with the features of HTTP. In last lecture, we have learned about what is HTTP request and what is HTTP response. Okay, in first lecture, we have learned about what is HTTP. Okay, so today we will see which are the features of the HTTP. So HTTP is a media independent. Now, what is the meaning of this? Media independent means it specifies that any type of media content can be sent by the HTTP as long as both the server and the client can handle the data content. Okay, so it is a media independent. That means it specify any type of media content that can be handled by the client and that can be handled by the server. So that type of data can be transferred on the internet. Okay. Then next one is what? HTTP is a connectionless. Now connectionless, that means what? It is a connectionless approach in which the HTTP client, for example, browser, because we are doing any request through the browser, we will use the browser to solve something. Okay, so we can say the browser is your client. Okay, so browser initiate the HTTP request, and after the request is sent, the client disconnect from the server and waits for the request or wait for the response. That means it is a connectionless. Continuous client server connection is not that. Okay, once client do the request, after that it will connectionless and it will wait for the response that will come from the server. Next one is what? HTTP stateless. Why HTTP is stateless? Okay, so the client and server are aware of each other during the current request only. Okay, when the request gets over, no one know anyone. Okay, so afterwards both of that forget each other. When this request completes, both of that forget each other. So due to the stateless nature of this protocol, neither the client nor the server can retain the informations about the different requests across the web pages. Now next one is the limitations of HTTP. Okay, so which are the limitations of the HTTP? Let's see. First one is there is no privacy, as anyone can see the content if we are not using HTTP with the security. Data integrity is a big issue, as someone can alter the content. That means interceptions can be there. So that's why HTTP protocol is an insecure method, as no encryption methods are used, but HTTPS is a secure. Not clear who are you, who are talking, who we are talking about. Anyone who intercept the request can get the username and the password. Okay, so these are the limitations of the HTTP because it is not much secure. Now let's see the difference between GET and POST. In last lecture, we have learned about the different request methods when we have seen the HTTP request message. So in which we are using the different request methods to requesting the server. Okay, so from that the two most common method, that is GET and POST. So let's see what is the difference between GET and POST when GET is used and when POST is used. So let's see. In GET, only the limited amount of data can be sent because data is sent in hidden. That means whatever the informations you are sending with the GET method, that will be visible in the hidden. POST, a large amount of data can be sent because the data is sent in body. So in POST method, we can say we can send lots of data because the data will be sent through the body. Okay. GET request is not secure because query string appended in the URL bar. Okay, so query string is appended in the URL bar. That's why get is not secure because information is visible in the header. Post request is secured because the data is not exposed in the URL bar. Okay, so when we are using the post method, data will not be visible in the URL bar. So post method is secure compared to get. Then next, get request can be bookmarked because we have that request in the URL, and you can bookmark the URL as you all of you know. But post request cannot be bookmarked because the data is not available in the URL. So you cannot bookmark the post request. Okay, a get request is often cacheable. A post request can hardly cacheable. A get request is more efficient and used more than post. Okay, so get is mostly used and post request is less efficient and used less than the get. Now next is a web browser. Okay, so we are using the different web browser to surf. Okay, so when we are surfing, we are you suppose uh, Chrome, okay, Safari, Netscape Navigator, Opera, different web browser is there. Okay, the first web browser is the Internet Explorer. Okay, so different web browsers we are using for the searching purpose or whatever the information you want to search on the internet, whatever the informations you want to find from the internet, whether it is a video, just text, just images, anything if you want. For that you have to go through the browser only. Okay, so what is this web browser? A web browser or internet browser is a software applications for retrieving, presenting and traversing the information resources on the World Wide Web. Got it? Okay, so for this purpose, retrieving, presenting and traversing. So for this purpose, we are using the web browser. Okay, which are the examples of the web browser? Mozilla Firefox, then we have the Google Chrome, then we have the Opera, Internet Explorer. There are many more browsers are that you can use for the you can use for the retrieving, presenting and traversing the information throughout the web. An information resource is identified by a uniform resource identifier, that is URI. Now all of you are aware about this URI because we have discussed it in the last lecture also and in last to last lecture also. Okay, and maybe a web page, image, video or other piece of content. Hyperlink presence in a resource enable the user to easily navigate their browsers to related resources. Now next topic is web browser architecture. We are using the web browser, but how this information is we are going to retrieve, how our request will be sent to the server. Okay, for that we have one web browser architecture. So everything will be maintained by the part of this web browser architecture. Okay, so let's see it. So here you can see this is the web browser architecture. Here you can see the networking JavaScript interpreter and UI backend is there. Here you can see the user interface that is connected to the browser engine and that is connected to the rendering engine, and rendering engine done all this thing. Okay, and here we have the data persistence. Okay, so let's see everything about this part of this web browser architecture in detail, so you will have a better idea about this. So let's see first the user interface. Now, what is the use of this user interface in the web browser architecture? So, the user interface subsystem is the layer between the user and the browser engine. Okay, so it provides the features such as toolbars, visual page, load progress, smart downloading handling, preferences and printing. Okay, so whenever you will open any browser, you will have that UI that is visible to you. That is what user interface. So through the tool that is available in your browser, through that tool you can do the different tasks. Okay, so that is user interface that provides the interface to the user who is using the computer system for surfing something. It may be integrated with the desktop environment to provide the browser session management or communications with the other desktop applications. Now next one is the browser engine. Okay, so what browser engine do? It marshals the actions between the user interface and the rendering engine, because browser engine provides the interface between user interface and the rendering engine. Okay, so it connects these two components of the browser architecture. This provides a high-level interface to the rendering engine. The browser engine provides the methods to initiate the loading of the URL and the other high-level browsing actions like reload, back, forward. So everything you can do with your browser. Suppose you have referred some page before and you want to go back, then you can go back. If you want to go forward, then also you can go forward. Okay, if you want to reload the page, if any error is there, if the page is not displaying properly, then you can reload the page. Okay, so that everything can be done by this browser engine. The browser engine also provides the user interface with the various message relating to the error message and the loading progress. So if page is not available, then there is some error, so that error will be displayed on the screen that is handled by the browser engine. Next one is the rendering engine. Okay, so the rendering engine subsystem produces the visual representations for the given URI, that is Uniform Resource Identifier. For that, whatever the informations you are looking for, that information will be displayed on your browser and that will be handled by the rendering machine. So here it is the capable of the displaying the HTML and extensible markup language XML documents optionally styled with CSS, that is cascading style sheet. So here in our syllabus we will see HTML and CSS in detail, as well as the embedded content such as images, videos, etc. Different browsers uses different rendering engines. Okay, it is not necessary that each and every browser use the same rendering engine. Each and every rendering engine have their own performance. Okay, so Internet Explorer use the Trident, Firefox use the Gecko, Safari uses the WebKit, Chrome and Opera uses the WebKit. Before it is also known as the Billy. Okay, so this type of different browser engine that is supported in the different browsers. Now next one is the networking. So it provides the functionality to handle the retrieve the URLs using the common internet protocol, that is HTTP and FTP, that is hypertext transfer protocol, and FTP, that means file transfer protocol. So using this two protocol, which information should be represented, that will be done by the networking. The networking component handles all the aspects of the internet communications and the security, character set, translations, and MIME type resolutions. The network component may implement a cache of the retrieved document to minimize the network traffic, so that everything that is done by the networking, that is the part of the rendering engine. Then we have the JavaScript interpreter. Okay, so what is the work of this? It executes the JavaScript code that is embedded in the website. So if any JavaScript code is that is embedded in your website, that will be handled by the JavaScript interpreter, and according to that it will display the result. Result of the execution passed to the rendering engine for the display. So rendering engine will display the output accordingly, that is interpreted by the JavaScript interpreter. The rendering engine may disable various actions based on user-defined properties. Now next one is the UI backend. Okay, so what is the use of this? Let's see. It is used for drawing the basic widgets like combo boxes and Windows widgets, anything that is button is there, text box is there. So any type of widgets. For any type of widgets, for the drawing of that purpose, we can use this UI backend. It uses the operating system user interface methods. Next one is the data storage. It manages the user data such as bookmarks, cookies, and preferences. Okay, so that is done. Sometimes, suppose you have done login, so it will ask to save your password for that particular browser. So if you will save, or if you will press on the save button next time, whenever you will start the same email, so at that time you don't have to log in, you don't have to provide the password again, because the password is stored in your browser. So that's why you just have to just select that your login details, and you will be automatically logged in. Okay, so the data storage is used for that purpose. And suppose you sometimes you want the same informations next afterwards, when you where you log in again, so at that time you can bookmark, you can make your own folder in which you can store that particular link. So whenever you will need it in future, you just go through that folder and you will click on it. That informations will be available directly. You don't have to search again and again. Got it? So that is what the data storage. Okay, and UI backend, that means it display the all the widgets is, that is radio button, text box, anything is that will be displayed by the UI backend. Got it? Here the new HTML specifications defines the web databases, which is complete, or we can say although the light database in the browser. Okay, so summary of this lecture, we have learned about the features of HTTP, limitations of HTTP. Then we have seen the difference between GET versus GET and POST, and we have seen the which is most used and why. Then we have seen the different web browsers that is available, and then we have seen the web browser architecture. That means how web browser display all this information, which are the different component that is involved in the web browser architecture, and what is the role of each and every component to displaying the informations to the client. Got it? Okay, so we are concluding today. Remaining interesting topic we will cover in the next lecture. Thank you for watching. We will meet in the next lecture. Thank you.